Hi, it's summer and we love summer at our house. And summers mean burgers. And so I'm doing something today that's a little different. A friend actually shared this recipe with me, and you've probably seen it all over the web, but they're called beer can burgers. And what on earth does that mean? Well, I'll show you. Basically, you're going to create a well within a burger and fill it with goodness. And so my goodness for today that I have set up includes doing taco flavorings. So I'm going to add some chorizo, some onion. I'm putting all kinds of seasoning and spices, and I'll show you all of that. Cilantro, cumin, onion powder, chili powder, mushrooms, bell pepper, onion, pepper jack cheese, queso cheese with jalapeno, some actual jalapenos, and I'm going to top it with some sour cream and salsa and fresh avocado. So that's one filling for my beer can burgers. The other filling that I'm going to do is a pizza or Italian. So we're doing a Mexican filling for beer can burgers, and we're going to do an Italian. And with the Italian, I'm going to use some sun-dried tomatoes, some ricotta cheese, all kinds of cheeses like Parmesan, Romano, Asiago, oregano. This is a bruschetta cheese that has more sun-dried tomato in it, some roasted peppers, Italian seasoning, onion powder, pepperoni, and I may even throw some sausage in there as well. Got another flavor that I'm going to do that will include more of an American. Since we're doing a Mexican and Italian, I'm going to include bell pepper, onion, and Philly cheesesteak. So let's see, how do you make these beer can burgers? Okay, so beer can burgers. A bit of a misnomer at our house because we don't have beer cans. I did have some Zevia, and if you're not familiar with Zevia, Zevia is a low-carb soft drink sweetened with stevia. So it's a favorite at our house. This is ginger ale flavor, so I'm using that, and it works just as well. Now, for my beer can burgers, basically what you want to do is you've got your ground beef. You're going to shape it around the can, creating a well. You can see kind of inside of that. It creates a well, and then you fill it with different toppings, and then you can grill or bake the burgers. How stinking perfect for summer is that? So let me show you first how to make the burger, and then we'll do the fillings. So I bought some 80-20 ground beef, and I separated it into 3 sections to make the 3 different flavors for the burgers that I'm going to do. And so you just take some of the meat and smush it out, flatten it out as if you were going to make a patty. And you want to make it relatively thin in the center, because then is where the magic happens. You take your beer can or Zevia or a diet soft drink, whatever your favorite beverage is, and you're going to plop it down in the middle. So the thickness for the bottom of the burger is going to come from however thick you've made this patty. And then you just shape around it, if you can see what I'm doing. Just shape the burger around it. And so we're making a little well, and you can see pretty much the can is covered with meat, the bottom part of this can. And you're only going to go up maybe a ½ inch or so, maybe closer to 3/4 of an inch. I'm using 80-20 and 73 17 fat for the burgers. And once you put it down and you've got the meat all around it, you take a slice of bacon, and you're just going to wrap that around the bottom of it, because, you know, bacon always makes it better. So bacon goes around the bottom, and it's pretty stinking simple. So then you just lift the can out of the center, and I'm going to have to wash the can, obviously. And I've made, so far, 4 burgers. There's a big well in the middle. There's a piece of bacon wrapped around the outside, as you can see. There's the well. And I'm going to do that with the other meat that I have to make the different flavors. Now, for this first flavor, what I've done is I've used just some salt, some pepper, and some garlic in this meat, because this is going to be the flavor that I use for the Philly cheesesteaks. Now, what's your favorite thing for Philly cheesesteak? Provolone cheese, got it. Peppers, got it. Onion, got it. And of course, Philly cheesesteak. So all of those things are going to go together, and then we'll put them in. And I'll show you that in just a minute. Okay, so I've prepared the Philly cheesesteak filling. And basically, it's just Philly cheesesteak. And yes, I use the frozen version. It's some bell pepper, some mushroom, and some green onion. It's probably 2/3 of a very large green onion, and probably more like half of a large onion. Onions are hardy, so I try not to do a lot of that. And then maybe half an 8-ounce container of mushrooms. Just do, again, what you like. Now, I'm going to take provolone cheese because nothing says Philly cheesesteak like provolone. You could also use a mix, and I may throw some cheddar in here as well, since my family really likes cheddar, even though it's not traditional with Philly cheesesteaks. And I'm just laying that in the bottom of the wells that I showed you earlier. So I'm taking the Philly cheesesteak and laying some in the bottom. Not putting a lot because I'm going to put more Philly cheesesteak on top. So about a half of a slice in the bottom of each. And then I'm going to take this yumminess, and again, it's my Philly cheesesteak with onion and pepper. I did add some seasonings. I added some garlic and onion powder and salt and pepper. And I'm just going to fill the wells of each with that Philly cheesesteak filling. So I've got my burger that I made before. I'm filling, I put some provolone cheese in the bottom. I have Philly cheesesteak, onion, mushroom, pepper, everything that you would want on a Philly cheesesteak. And I'm filling that into the wells of the burger. And then we're going to bake it or grill it. If you grill it, you want to use fairly indirect heat. The big thing is getting the burger cooked all the way through as little gas escaped. Now, when I was making this, my helpful husband came in and said, you know that you're not going to use all that filling, the Philly cheesesteak, on those 4 little burgers, because I only have 4 made since I'm making the other toppings. And he's right, I'm not going to. So I could have just prepared half of the package of Philly cheesesteak, but I also know my family, and they really like to eat. Go figure, 3 times a day at least. So what I'm doing is I have the rest of it still simmering, and I'm going to throw this back in. I didn't want to overcook it. Throw this back in, and what I can do is with that Philly cheesesteak topping, I'll use that for a different meal. In fact, I'll cook that topping up. I've got more provolone cheese, and my daughter will probably end up eating that again, a leftover for lunch, taking it in her lunchbox. So let me turn that down. Oops, down, not up. So turn that down, and we're finished putting provolone cheese on top of these guys. So we started with the burger, made the well with the can, wrapped it in bacon, and now I'm going to trim the edges just a little bit and put a slice of provolone cheese on top. It's going to be amazing. Okay, and then I'm going to do the next one, and hopefully put a perfect amount of cheese. I'm just going to trim that off, put around the edges because I don't want it to make a terrible, terrible mess, and put that on top. So just like that, each of these are going to get covered with provolone cheese, and it kind of keeps the toppings inside, kind of just keeps it all safe and wrapped up and yummy. So this is the flavor that I've used for the provolone. Let's do the Mexican flavor next, and I'll tell you everything I'm doing in that beef. Let me grab those ingredients and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I'm going to make the Mexican flavored burgers, and I can't quite figure out how to show you all exactly what I'm doing with this tripod stand, but anyway, what I've done with this, because we're doing a Mexican flavor, is I have the meat, and again I'm using a combination of 80-20 and some 73 ground beef, And I'm mixing in, I wish you could smell it, it smells amazing. I'm mixing in to the ground beef some ground cumin. I'm mixing in some chili powder, just a bit, some salt and pepper, and some cilantro. The dried cilantro will also go into the toppings, but I just can't help thinking, and you can use coriander as well. But this is like just a nice flavor for the meat because you're going to have a lot of flavors in the topping, and then as they're eating down into the burger, you want those flavors to permeate that as well. It's very, very simple, and you can use whatever flavors you want with this. Now, I've got this mixed up pretty thoroughly, and I'm going to do just like I did before with the can. So I'm going to take the amount of burger. I would pat out a pretty good sized burger if I was feeding my family. You want it relatively thin because remember that becomes the bottom of the floor of the well you're making. Put your can, your beer can or your Zivia in my case, in the center. You want it fairly level so it's even. And you're just going to wrap the meat up the sides. Now, when you're wrapping the meat up the sides, you're going to go at least a ½ inch or so up the sides. And if you need to get more meat, there's not an exact science if you haven't figured that out. The important thing is you get it on there, you get it relatively even. You get a piece of bacon. This bacon goes with every flavor, Mexican, Italian, American, you name it. Wrap the bacon around the bottom, like so. Wrap the bacon around the bottom, like so. I'm hoping you can see me. And you pull the can out. Again, you've got this wonderful deep well, and we're going to fill it with all kinds of Mexican flavored goodness. I'm going to move that over to the side. You can see it's pretty sturdy. And I'm going to grab the next thing of beef. Again, pat it out, just like you were going to make a burger. You want the floor of it relatively thin, not terribly thin, but you don't want it too thick because you want to make sure it cooks. And I do have the first batch in the oven. Put the can in the middle, squish it in a bit, and then just wrap the rest of it over the sides. And yes, I'm going to have to really wash this can of soft drink well. I washed it before I started working with it. I'm going to wash it really, really well before anybody was able to drink this the soft drink inside. Okay, so I've got this around the side. Now, it's Mexican. What am I going to put inside? Well, one of our favorite Mexican foods is chorizo. You've heard me talk about it before. I make chorizo and eggs. I do chorizo in my taco bake. Chorizo goes in a little bit of everything at my house. So I'm going to put some chorizo in here. And I'll make this one and I'll start doing that. And then I also am going to put a little bit of onion. I'm not going to cook the onion ahead of time because as the meat cooks, the burger cooks, so will that onion. So I'm going to stop with those two and show you exactly what I'm going to do as far as toppings. Also going to put cheese because I have a feeling that none of this would be really good without cheese. Just like butter makes it better, cheese makes things better at our house. So I've made those two. I've got enough meat to make at least 2 more. I'm going to grab the chorizo, and I'm also going to grab some cheese. Now, when it comes to cheese in our family, or it comes to spices in our family, some folks like things really kind of spicy and hot, and others don't. I tend to be one of those folks who doesn't like the food really spicy. So I can control the spice with the cheeses that I have with jalapeno and other seasonings. So my husband likes spicy stuff, so I'll do these first 2 with him in mind. This is a pepper jack made by Cabot, and I also have quesadilla cheese with jalapeno, and then I have some without for myself. So I'm going to cut open the Cabot, and I have a fresh knife. I'm not using the same knife I used for the meats. And this cheese has been sitting out for a little while I've been taping. So I'm just going to take it, slice some of this pepper jack cheese, and put it in the bottom of the wells that I've made. Remember, I've only made 2, so these 2 will be spicy, and then I'll make 2 that are not so spicy. I think the hardest thing about dinner tonight is everybody deciding what flavor or which burgers they're going to try. Now again, my husband really likes spicy, so, and he likes jalapeno. So I'm going to put some jalapeno in here. Not something I would add to mine, but I'll do some jalapeno. Do what you like, and if there's a Mexican flavor that you like, throw it in there. And you can see I'm just doing a handful or so of jalapeno in each of these. And then we all love chorizo. Now, this chorizo, I'm not going to cook it ahead of time because it will cook. It's already kind of cooked. I'm not going to cook it ahead of time because it will cook when the other stuff cooks. Chorizo is this wonderful, fatty Mexican sausage. Has all kinds of spices. We use a brand made by Supremo. If you're at the store looking for it, keep in mind that there often are fillers and sugars. So make sure you read not just the nutrition information, read the read the ingredients. So I'm filling this up now with chorizo, and man, is it looking good. I think this is going to be impressive. I think my family is going to like the Mexican flavor best. I don't know, we'll see. So I filled that up with chorizo, and I've used about 1/4 of one of it, and so that's probably a good amount for each. I'll use the rest of this chorizo when I make the other 2 burgers, because chorizo generally is not overly spicy, so it's perfectly safe to put on anything that I would eat or my daughter would eat. Now, in keeping with putting the slices of cheese on top, instead of using the shredded queso, which I'll use in mine, I'm going to use pepper jack slices. Now, you don't have to go to the store and buy 30 kinds of cheese to do these. Use, again, what you like, what makes you happy. And what I don't use in recipes, I do know my family will eat this week for lunches or dinners. Okay, so I'm putting this cheese on, just like we did with the other, that was provolone. And I'm just topping the burgers with cheese. Again, this is pepper jack. And if you like a lot of cheese, you could put even more. I'm putting it in the center because I don't want it to run off and be too messy. So those 2 are made. I will make 2 more of the Mexican, and then I'll do the Italian. So stay tuned for what goes into the Italian beer can burgers. Okay, so my kitchen is starting to get seriously trashed, but that's okay because it smells amazing in here. I'm going to fill each well of the Italian flavor beer can burgers with some ricotta cheese. And this is full fat ricotta. You know that with ketogenic diets you want to get as much fat as you can. So I'm just going to put a layer of ricotta in the bottom of each. You could also put a layer of mozzarella down there with it. I actually don't have mozzarella. I have Parmesan, but I don't have mozzarella. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon of ricotta in each well that I created. Now I'm going to also put pepperoni, because who wants Italian without pepperoni, right? I don't have sausage. I do have some frozen. I could pull it out of the freezer, but I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to put pepperoni down in each well. So for this beer can burger, the purposes, or for my purposes, is to get a nice Italian pizza flavor. So I'm just putting some pepperoni in each. So I've got about a tablespoon or so of ricotta in the bottom of each of these. I'm putting 2 or 3 pepperonis in each. There's not an exact science. You know, if you have someone in your family who's not a fan of ricotta, you can just put pepperoni and skip the ricotta altogether. And it's nice to be on camera because I would have popped 1 or 2 of these in my mouth already if I wasn't. The other thing that you could put in that I won't be using today is black olives, because black olives, again, have a really nice, wonderful flavor and adds a nice fat to this. So anyway, there's your pepperoni. I'm adding a few extra pepperoni because I thought 3 probably isn't enough. And then I have some other fun kinds of toppings. As I said, I don't have any mozzarella cheese, but I do have a Sargento bruschetta jack cheese, which will give it a really nice flavor. So I'm going to lay some of that on top of the pepperoni. This is going to be just creamy and luscious. I can't imagine eating this on a bun, even if I wasn't ketogenic. These are definitely burgers you're going to want to eat with a fork and a knife, maybe a spoon, and probably need a shower after because they're going to be pretty messy burgers. Before I run out of room, I'm going to put in a couple of these. Now these do add some carbs, but I'm going to put some marinated pepper. This is roasted pepper. I'm not going to put it in all of them because not everybody in my family likes them. I really like them, so I'm going to put that in just 2 of them. But roasted red pepper gives it a nice Italian flavor. And then I put together some yumminess that has, and this pan's hot, so I have to be careful, but I sauteed some mushroom, onion, pepper. So bell pepper, sweet bell pepper, mushroom and onion, and I added some sun-dried tomato. So I'm going to put that, I sauteed it just for a quick bit to get the veggies a little tender. I was afraid they wouldn't cook and didn't want anyone biting into raw onion. So again, I put some bacon grease in the pan, added, it smells amazing, added mushroom, bell pepper, and onion, not a lot of each because I was just making it for this purpose, and I added sun-dried tomato. I added some Italian seasoning, some garlic, some oregano, and other seasonings, just because you really want this. This is going to be your pop of flavor when they're getting into the burger, and so that's where the sun-dried tomato is going to come in handy. And my family's going to say, Mom, what did you put in this? And I'm going to say, I put wonderful, wonderful sun-dried tomato. If you have somebody in your family who doesn't like bell pepper, you can easily leave it out. So, this is the Italian flavor. Let's talk about one more time what's in it and get these toppings all scooped up and go back in. There's mushroom, there's bell pepper, there's onion, there's sun-dried tomato, there's a layer of ricotta cheese, there's a layer of Sargento's bruschetta cheese that has Italian seasoning and some tomato flavoring. There's pepperoni, and that's it. And it's all stuffed in the beer can burger. Now, I'm going to cover it with some Parmesan cheese. I also have, from Trader Joe's, Parmesan Romano and Asiago cheese, which makes a great, great topping. And while all of this is baking, I'm going to clean the kitchen and hopefully give you all a peek at what this looks like when it comes out of the oven. We're not going to grill these today, and I hope that's not a mistake. We're just going to do them in the oven and see how it all works out. So I hope that this all tastes as amazing as it smells, because right now my kitchen smells incredible. Can't wait to show you the finished product. Okay, so the first one is out of the oven, and this is the, gosh, what do we make first? I can't remember. Philly cheesesteak. The others are in the oven, so I'm going to put the camera down and see if I can cut this guy and see what he looks like. Okay, so this is a Philly cheesesteak. You can see the bacon wrapped around. You can see how the cheeses have gotten nice and brown. I'm going to cut it open. It's not dinner time at my house. Look at that. Okay, wow, it looks incredible. And I'm gonna just have to take a bite because I can't stand it. Let's see. Look at all that yumminess. Wow. It's pretty good. And has a really good flavor. I'm trying to figure out the kind of the meat to innards ratio, and I think it's just about perfect. There's the hamburger, there's the Philly cheesesteak, so definitely good. I'll have to shave the rest. I'll pull the other out of the oven in just a bit. Okay, so now the Mexican one is out, so let's cut that and take a look at what that's like. It really looks very cheesy and luscious. Okay. Wow. This is the one that has the jalapenos in it. And you can see the cheese with the jalapeno and the chorizo. And because this is the spicy one, I'm not going to taste this one, but my husband is conveniently nearby. And so I'm going to see if I can get him to take a bite of this one, since it's a little spicier than I would like. You can see there's the chorizo, there's the burger, there's the cheese, and the jalapeno. So let me see.
That was good.
Is that your favorite?
Mm-hmm.
He's tried the pepper
I haven't
steak.
tried the pizza yet.
The pizza is still in the oven.
Oh, that's good.
I'm going to try a bite without the jalapeno on the edge. Is it good?
It's good. Yes.
Better than the jalapeno, better than the Philly cheesesteak?
It is to me.
Wow.
That was good.
Much better than the Philly cheesesteak. That one's good. Spicy, but good. And here's the last one. This one is the... Which one is this?
Pizza.
Pizza. This is the Italian. So I'm going to cut it open, and this is the one that had the little ricotta and mozzarella. No mozzarella. The ricotta and the pepperoni and all that good yumminess. So you can see what that looks like. And my daughter is running downstairs now so that she can get a taste of this. And so I'm making sure I've got some bacon in this bite and some sun-dried tomato and some ricotta. And while I'm waiting on her, I'll sneak this bite.
Chorizo was good.
The sun-dried tomato makes this really very tasty. David, do you want to try this since Grace isn't coming?
Okay. That's my second favorite. I still like the one with chorizo.
Mexican flavors the favorite, followed by the Italian, and then probably the Philly cheesesteak, and it just needs a little more oomph. So, hope that you enjoy your beer can stuffed burgers.